Okay. Here, mother is motivating the child to do gardening work. So even a small motivation can make a child energized, happy, and to succeed in their goals. Next slide, sir. Here, agenda of today's session, definition of motivation, why is motivation in children important, types of motivation, difference between types of motivation, 9 ways teachers can motivate students, the 4 secrets of motivating students, and emotional intelligence. Next slide, sir. Other than these topics, what is your expectations in today's session? Do you have any expectations, dear teachers? Next slide, sir. Here comes the ground rules of the session. Cameras should be turned on. Everyone should participate. Everyone's idea is important. Listen to the person talking and respond to the chat box. Next slide, sir. Definition of motivation. Why is motivation so important and what is motivation? Can any one of you tell? Okay. The term motivation describes why a person does something. It is the driving force behind human actions. Motivation is the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented process. So now, motivation in the classroom refers to the desire and enthusiasm of the students, how they have to learn their activities, persist in the face of challenges, and achieve academic successes. And motivation is the internal and external factors that energize and sustain students' behavior towards specific goals. So when we motivate each child, they will start doing towards their goals. They will start working towards their goals. Next pictures, next slides. I want teachers to be active and I want you people to participate. Here are 2 pictures. Can you guess what is the first picture and what is the second picture here?
Teachers, this is an
Teacher.
interactive session. You people have to come forward. Okay, otherwise there is no point in joining for a webinar. Okay, so kindly do be interactive like you did in the last sessions as well.
Ma'am, in first picture, whatever the student is not interested in the class, whatever the teacher is teaching. But in the second picture, because the teacher is motivating that child and the students are having interest.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. You're right. Thanks for your answer. Here in the first picture, the child is unmotivated. So the child is so sad. And in the second picture, child is motivated by a teacher and even the child is happy and the teacher is happy. So now let us know why motivation in children is so important. Next slide, sir. Here, why is motivation in children important? Motivation empowers a child to set goals, take initiative, and acceptance to challenges. Motivation drives students' behavior and performance. Motivation makes students happier and keep them energized. So, when we motivate a child encourages it. Motivation encourages children to practice and develop various skills, whether it can be in academic or social or physical activities. This motivation leads the child for well-rounded personal development. And instilling motivation early on fosters a love for learning that can persist throughout life. motivating children are curious and eager to explore ideas and concepts. For example, you think a child is doing a different experiment on a windmill. If a teacher is motivating that child, definitely child will explore with more and more ideas. If we are not encouraging the child or motivating the child for their effort, will the child be doing the next step of the process or next experiments? Definitely not. So motivation is children is most important. Next slide, sir. Here, when we motivate a child, they set a goal, attitude to make that goal success one, they perform, and they need some adult support, and they get more ideas when we motivate the child on particular thing. Next slide, sir. Here comes types of motivation. Can anyone guess what will be the types of motivation?
Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're exactly right. Great answer. It is intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Sir, next slide, sir. Here, types of motivation. The first one is intrinsic motivation. That is, intrinsic motivation is defined as the motivation to engage in a behavior because of the inherent satisfaction of the activity rather than the desire for a reward or specific outcome. So here in intrinsic motivation, individuals are managed by internal factors. Such as interest, curiosity, personal fulfillment, or a sense of control. Some examples of intrinsic motivation includes pursuing a hobby, reading a book with pleasure, solving some difficult puzzles, and like engaging in creative activities. Now, next one is extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation refers to behavior driven by external rewards such as money, fame, grades, or praise. It involves engaging in a behavior because it is personally rewarding. So in extrinsic motivation comes from factors outside the individuals. That is, it is an external factor, like doing something for gaining some money or to get some prizes or rewards. It can also be based on avoiding negative consequences. And some examples of extrinsic motivation includes the pursuit of money, social status, praise, material wealth, or to become famous. Next slide, sir. Sir, next slide, sir. Yes. Here, already we know that the two types of motivation is intrinsic and extrinsic. Here in intrinsic motivation, the mentality is going to be, I want to do something for myself, and the motivation is in the activity. But in extrinsic motivation, the mentality is going to be, I need or feel I must do something to gain something. Motivation is out of the activity. Next slide, sir. Here comes difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is driven by internal factors, as already we have discussed, and extrinsic motivation is driven by external factors. And intrinsic motivation is a long term, that is long lasting and self-sustaining one. And extrinsic motivation is short term and dependent on external factors. In intrinsic motivation, the creative thinkings will be in high level of creativity, innovation, and personal growth. And in extrinsic motivation, it is associated with routine and repetitive behaviors. Next slide, sir. Here comes 9 ways teacher can motivate students. The first one is relationship. Why is relationship so important for a teacher with a student? Or how will you maintain your relationship with your student? Yes, Aarti ma'am.
And if we have a healthy relationship with a student, that student can easily connect with the teacher. And sometimes if they have some issues, that they can talk to the teacher also, and teacher could help them in any problems.
Yes,
for that.
teachers, why do you think maintaining a relationship is important with the students? Is the question.
Yes. Anyone else want to give some point here?
To know about the children better, and also through that we can take the child what education excellence or academic excellence also, through that we can motivate.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Anyone else? Do you have some point to share? Okay. Here, first and foremost, it is very critical to develop a relationship with the student. So make sure that to get to know about each and every child or student in your class, to demonstrate your interest by asking them about their weekend plans, sports or games or other activities that they participate, and you encourage them in that. Either they win or not, for their participation also, if we encourage the students, there also some relationship is built. Next point is physical learning environment. Why is physical learning environment is given under this point in motivating a student?
Actually, it's a kind of kinesthetic activity which make the children to get involved into the chapter.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. So now here, allow the students to do learning by doing method in the class. So implement some hands-on project and experiments that allows your students to apply what they have learned in real life scenario. For example, like field trip. Take them to a field trip, ask them to write about what they have learned in the real life scenarios. Here comes the next one, include parents. Why parents are also important in motivating a child? Why parents are also important in motivating a child?
Parents are the best people who actually can support the child, ma'am, not only in the positive scenario as well as the negative scenario. So it is very important for a parent to listen to a child and as well as motivate the child.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Thanks for your answer. Here, involving a parents and child's motivation is also very important. Why? Because involving parents and solicit their aid to help encourage their students. Parents are a key factor in students' motivation, and make involvement of the parents by sending home a weekly newsletter or by inviting them into your classroom for special events. Inform them that you are a team and have the same goals for their child's success. Like how we teachers have the goal to take each child into the success part, in that even parents have the same level of importance. Next comes here is relevance. Here, relevance is a crucial factor in motivating students. When students perceive the material they are learning as relevant to their lives, goals, and interest. They are more likely to be engaged and motivated to learn. Here comes the first thing, like connecting to personal interest. How we will connect the personal interest of a child into the chapter or in the lessons? Any ideas or examples? How we will connect the child with their relevant place or field? Okay, here relating the content to quoting real life
We can ask
examples.
them, suppose if we are teaching them some social science chapter, and we
Yes,
can ask them that from which village you belong to, have you been to any village? As we have a chapter of Palampur also in, I think, class 7 or 8, right? So we can ask them, and we can, whatever the things you see, or soil, different type of soils, because in cities they have different soils, in villages there are different fields. So that way, according to the religion, we can relate them, which religion they belong to, what are the different ceremonies or rituals they are performing there at houses. Like that, we can relate the chapter.
excellent, ma'am. Thanks for your answer. And here, relating the content to student personal interest can make learning more engaging. For example, incorporating technology, sports, or music into lessons can capture the attention of students who are passionate about these areas. For example, one child is more interested in sports. When we are teaching some particular topic, when we are giving example of a sports person or a sports field, definitely the child will listen to us. In that way, we can relate the field or places where the child's personal interest is there. Next, here, real world application. Demonstrating how the material is used in real world scenarios help students see the value of what they are learning. This can be achieved through examples like case studies and practical applications like lab activities. Next one is student-centered learning. Here, student-centered learning approaches have been proven to be more effective. Student-centered learning is a pedagogical approach that focuses on the needs, interest, and learning styles of students. It emphasizes active participation and engagement, giving students more control over their learning processes. For example, offer choices in assignment. Don't fix only this topic has to be done as an assignment. Offer choices in the assignment and activities to give students a sense of control in learning. Next one, autonomy. What is autonomy, first of all? What is autonomy? Okay. Autonomy is taking own decision and governing itself independently without external control or influences. Here, in motivating students, autonomy it refers to an individual's sense of being in control of their own actions and decisions. When individuals experience autonomy in their actions, they perceive their behavior as self-endorsed and aligned with their own values and interests. Now tell me, this autonomy is an intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation?
Intrinsic.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. This autonomy is intrinsic motivation. Next comes collaborative learning. Collaborative learning is an educational approach involving joint intellectual effort by students. Working in groups significantly impacts motivation. So when integrated with the motivational theories, it enhances both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation through several keys like social interaction, shared goals, peer support, active engagement, group discussions, etc. Here, you can facilitate your students with group project or peer-to-peer learning. And that peer-to-peer learning or group work, teamwork, communication may encourage and motivate the students with different ideas of each child. Next comes alternative answering. Have you ever had a difficult time getting students to answer your questions? Have you ever had a difficult time getting students to answer your questions?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yes. Here, alternative answering or encouraging multiple ways to approach and solve problems can significantly enhance motivation in several ways, like creativity and innovation, autonomy, critical thinking, and confidence building. Next comes new teaching methods. What is your new teaching method? Anyone is having some different or new teaching method? Okay. A new teaching method that enhances motivation is gamification. This approach involves integrating game elements and principles into the learning environment to make education more engaging and motivating. How it influences motivation, like rewards and recognition, challenges and levels, storytelling and themes, and engagement and fun. Next slide, sir. Here, the 4 secrets of motivating a students: choices, challenges, collaboration, control. Why choice comes under motivating a student? Can anyone guess or can anyone answer? Why choice comes under motivating a student?
When children are given choices, they perform better, ma'am, because they are intrinsically motivated and they can choose the best one which they would like, rather than giving one monotonous topic.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Thanks for your answer. Here, choice plays a crucial role in motivating a child. So when individuals have the opportunity to make choices, they are more likely to take responsibilities for their decision and feel a sense of ownership over their learning or work. For example, we are assigning art integrated project. We always give like Uttarakhand project something. Instead of Uttarakhand, if we ask the students to select their own state as a choice, the project will be more innovative way. So choice is also important in motivating a child. Next comes challenges. Using challenges to motivate students can be highly effective when it is done in a thoughtful manner. Start with the easier challenges and gradually increase the difficulty level. This helps in building confidence and competence and prevents students from feeling overwhelmed. And next is collaboration. Already we have seen collaborative learning. So can anyone say what is collaboration here?
When some work is given to students in the form of groups.
Involved.
Yes, ma'am. Peer learning. Yes, you are right. Here, collaboration can be powerful experience and engagement like group discussion, teamwork, peer learning, etc. Next comes control. Why control is given here under motivation? Any guesses?
so
Okay.
that they can distract the like whatever the what I say distractions. So if the control is there, it will help the students to avoid the distractions and losing the focus also. So they'll be able to control their emotions while taking the decision.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Yes, while guidance from a teacher is important to keeping kids on task and motivated, allowing students to have some choices and control over what happens in the classroom. So allow students to choose type of assignment they do or which problems they work on they can give them a sense of control that may just motivate them to do more and more. Next slide, sir. Here comes emotional intelligence. Why is emotional intelligence is in motivation? Why we have emotional intelligence here in motivation? Can anyone guess? It will help them to take right decisions. Yes, ma'am, you're right. Here, motivation is a critical component of emotional intelligence, which involves understanding and managing one's own emotions as well as those of others. So here, emotional intelligence fosters a deep understanding of oneself and others, leading to more effective motivation strategies and a greater ability to maintain motivation over time. Next slide, sir. Yes, here I want everyone to be participate and you are going to answer here. What is your superpower? Can anyone think and say? I want everyone to say, not anyone. What is your superpower? Think and say about your superpower.
A good communication.
Okay, ma'am.
Performing control on the subject.
Control on the subject.
With the help of performing art.
Performing art. Yes.
Interaction with students.
Okay, ma'am. Handling
To
the
get
student.
connected.
Listening patiently to the
Yes,
students.
ma'am. Yes. Okay. Now, as soon as I asked the question, what is your superpower? What you people started doing?
We talk about our strength.
Okay. Any answers?
Start thinking.
You started thinking, yes, right? So here, this activity not only helps you people to tap into imagination and creativity, but also encourages you to think about your strength to stay motivated and achieve their goals. So always ask these questions to your students to motivate them and let them know what is their superpower and let them go in that track and let them achieve more and more. Let we teachers motivate them in their superpowers. Next slide, sir. Now, next question. Who inspired or motivated you to be a teacher?
My own teacher.
Your own teacher. Okay.
My aunt.
My aunt.
Also a teacher when I was young.
My mother.
Mother.
My parents.
My patient. My parents.
My favorite teacher.
My passion.
My passion. My favorite teacher. Any other answers? So someone motivated you or inspired you to be a teacher, or your passion motivated you to be a teacher. So let us be the inspiration of our students to make them motivated. Next one, sir. Okay. How would you define success in your career? How would you define success in your career?
If all my children excel in what I'm teaching them, then it's my success.
Yes. Right answer, ma'am.
Success is my own goals in terms of my own rules.
Okay.
For me, the success is any student. Suppose reveal that you are my role model. That is the success of a teacher.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Then
excuse me,
students-
ma'am. Dear all, only 1 minute is left for the meeting to end. We request everyone to rejoin with the same link, because at the end, we are about to, like finish off the session. So after completing the session, we have some announcement about a wonderful course which we are doing. Okay, so, and also there are a few other, like feedback, Q&A session by the resource person as well. Yes. You can continue.